Hello, welcome. I am using this time and this space and this capacity to to define where it is I'm at, to define what it is I'm trying to do, and document as much of this as I can. So where am I right now? Actually, I should switch that and say, what am I trying to do? Well, I'm ultimately trying to reclaim or rebuild or enhance, I guess, my health and my physical fitness, stamina, strength, and ultimately get better than where I was at my best. And that takes time. It is a journey. It is a process. I've done this process multiple times. So I do know how to lose weight, although I tend to have a very difficult time in the strength gaining or lean muscle mass gains. I tend to struggle there, and particularly in my lower body. So where am I right now? So right now I am 31 weeks pregnant and feeling very pregnant, feeling out of breath, feeling tired, feeling uncomfortable at night when I sleep. Not necessarily the pregnancy brain, like I don't put my shampoo in the refrigerator or anything weird like that, but I definitely find that I am often at a loss for words. Like I can't think of the word, it's on the tip of my tongue. That is really where I struggle the most, is kind of formulating the verbiage that I'm intending to say. Okay, so I haven't tracked my weight. I am not going to. I don't plan to until I go into labor or something that will indicate I'm about to have this baby. Why? Because I have been for decades a very number-driven person, and I will override. I have a bad habit of overriding what I know to be healthful simply to hit data. And right now in this phase that I'm in, that is not the best approach. So, and I understand that completely. So I am choosing to not track my weight, to not track my calories, to not track my macros. But the caveat is, I have done this for so long, and I have lost weight so many times, and I have tracked macros for so long that I do have a pretty good understanding of what it is I'm eating without having a hard number. Now, granted, even nutritional tracking apps will only take you so far. There are margins of error both on nutritional labels as well as tracking apps, and I acknowledge that. But the intention here is to practice that intuitive eating and nourishment of my body. So that is where I am. Now, when I first found out I was pregnant, we moved to a different part of the state, and there was a very good chunk of time we didn't have any gym equipment. Our house was in a total disarray. So there were weeks that I couldn't work out other than moving. And that's still a physical demand, but it's not quite the same. Because when you have a structured workout, you have structured intentions that you're trying to achieve within that particular session or cycle. So that's where I was. And then when I went back into exercising, I noticed a big difference in what I was feeling. And so I really had to modify my exercise. And then I started to gain some traction. We switched our gym around. It was the dead of winter. I'm very far north, so accommodating for very, very cold conditions in our basement and our garage also posed a problem. And just getting bigger, my body was changing. Fast forward a little bit more, I started to get a bit of a schedule going, and then I lost my mom. So that, again, for weeks, completely put me in a space where even just getting dressed was difficult, let alone like showing up. And I could have overrode those and just done the work. But I was also in such a deprived and stressed state, and already being in a deficit when you're pregnant because your body is in such a high demand, it was counterproductive for me. So really all I could do for weeks was walk, maybe ride the bike, and that's really all I could do. Maybe some body weight exercises here and there, but I was not in a good position to really gain much benefit from it. One, because I was physically tired, and two, I was emotionally shot. So where am I right now? So right now, I am getting back into a routine and still practicing intuitive eating, and still not tracking my weight. Although I would say this pregnancy has been so good at being a huge blessing because it's been such a great teacher of intuitive eating. I have never been this good at intuitive eating in my years of practicing it. So I am really grateful for that. But I have to acknowledge I have indulgences. I have cravings. That's what I'm trying to say. I have cravings for food. So I get that. And there's a time and a place. So yes, I'm getting bigger. Yes, my body is changing. And I'm preparing for a very big event. So with that being said, my goal is to address the only problem that I have had during this pregnancy, which is pubic symphysis pain. And since I have not been keeping up with my exercises, I've noticed a very big change in that discomfort in my pelvis area. So that will be reclaimed. And I actually did put out a video of the only exercise that I have been incorporating into my workouts that has helped that. In addition to that, I do stretch and I keep up with cardio. I keep up with cardio predominantly for cardiovascular health. I mean, that's why we do it. But I, in my 2 previous pregnancies, have battled high blood pressure towards the end. So that is something that I did not do with those pregnancies that I am very adamant that I maintain to the best of my ability in this pregnancy. And it's nothing too crazy because I'm out of breath anyway. So it doesn't take much. So I'm doing that as regularly as I can most days. And most days right now looks like 5 days, about 5 days a week. And then strength training, my goal is 2 to 3 days a week. So, I plan to show those workouts, what I'm doing, because I don't have a lot of time to do them. So my goal is 20 minutes of cardio and 20 minutes of strength training. I do the cardio in the morning if I am able. And then I do the strength training in the afternoon or evening on the days that I am able. In addition to that, I am eating a very healthy diet for the most part. I eat yogurt, oatmeal, smoothies, collagen, whey protein, minimal coffee, lots of water, walnuts, grass-fed beef and chicken and salmon and veggies. So I'm fine in that department, although I will not turn down the occasional serving of M&Ms or a cookie. So that's where I am. So the goal is to be as healthful in the pregnancy as possible, to prepare my body for labor and delivery, because my goal with that is to have an unmedicated birth. My 2 previous ones, I was induced, I had an epidural, and I was extremely frightened. And that seems like an irrelevant point, but I think if you've given birth and you've experienced that fear, or you've experienced overcoming fear, that's a big point, and you'll know what I mean. So I'm doing a lot of internal reflection, a lot of prayer, a lot of thought, a lot of talks with my husband, and just being very intentional in how I address this big event that is coming up. So, that's really what I wanted to share. I wanted to put my goal, my intention out there, and then try to hold myself accountable to it. Anyone who's been pregnant knows how difficult it can be when you work, run a business, have a family, have a relationship, right? Those take time and nurturing. And in addition to being pregnant, and that's taxing all by itself. So I do stay busy, and but I also acknowledge that I need a goal and I need a challenge to overcome. You need to be looking for something, because oftentimes, in my 10 plus years as a personal trainer or weight loss coach, I see where the flaw is, where people will say, "Oh, I just want to be healthy." Okay, well, what does healthy mean? And when you ask them enough questions, oftentimes you find they don't really know what they want. So for me, I would say I'm trying to manage my labor and delivery without medication. That is a very big goal of mine. I am trying to not develop preeclampsia in the last few weeks of my pregnancy. And I am trying to gain less than 50 pounds when the big event comes. My first one was 25 pounds. My second one was 50 pounds. And I did not want to keep going in that upward trend. So I do know that you will gain weight in pregnancy. I get it. And you will gain body fat. It happens. But I'm also trying to not be gluttonous and just be a sloth. And I have a maximum amount of weight that I want to gain, which is 50 pounds. So then on the other end of that, I want to lose that 50 pounds. And in all honesty, I would like to lose more than that. My goal would be 60 pounds, but yes, that is my goal. At the same time, I do want to be able to gain lean muscle mass. So that number can affect lean muscle mass can affect the number on the scale. So I have to be aware of that as well. Do I want to sacrifice muscle just to weigh less? No. I want to be able to do as many push-ups as I could previously. I want to be able to do 5 pull-ups on my own in a dead hang. I want to be able to deadlift and squat my own weight again. And those haven't happened in a long time. So with that being said, I'm being open, I'm being honest, I'm holding myself accountable, and I'm going to be transparent in my experience in these last few weeks. So thanks so much for watching. I see you. And have a good day.